Hey guys, today we're going to be doing daytime luxury photos on this 2,000 square foot home in North Scottsdale, Arizona. So come with me, we're going to get the home ready for photos and let's get started. All right, so this one, the contractor just left. He was finishing up some cleaning. So ideally we would have shot daytime luxuries a little bit earlier, but sometimes you kind of got to roll with the punches here. So the key's already in the door. He didn't lock it up. So we're just going to go through, as with any property, make sure the blinds are open. Now this one, yeah, so we don't want a bunch of sun coming down on the flooring, so we're going to leave it at that. Most of the lights are already on, it looks like. I'm just kind of positioning things. One thing that I do notice right now, because we're going to get some shots of this home later in the day, is that there are some conflicting light color differences. So these ones are more of a cooler bulb, and then that fixture right there is more of a tungsten. So it's just something we'll have to deal with when the time comes. It's not going to be too noticeable when you're shooting daytime, but if you're shooting later on in the day, the difference in color bulbs become increasingly noticeable. There's no fixture right here. This is one thing that they hadn't done yet, so we're going to try to get those wires out. But that's not the end of the world for luxury, since we will be able to edit that out. All right, the lamp's on. I'm not a huge fan of that wire just wired around there, so we're probably not but it shouldn't be in the way of our photos. We'll probably get some right here and right here on that side. So anyways, all right, let's keep going through here. Oh, looks like the fire. All right, awesome. Pilot light was on. It's making some noise. I don't know what these are doing. I want to get this light on. Am I missing a switch? Maybe I just needed to give it a second. We do have some stuff that's going to show up. All right. We got some screws and a doorbell right here. I'm just going to move these out of the way so they don't show up. I guess I could put them right here behind this dog, and it shouldn't be noticeable. All right. Bathroom lights are on. Here as well, that is like super fluorescent bulbs. That's the same color that was in the kitchen. We also have a can light that's kind of falling down, so we're going to try not to draw too much attention to it. Now this home, whoop, I don't know if let me see. Yeah, let's see. You think two of these would turn it? No, I don't think so. Maybe it has one of those sticks, but I don't see a stick either. It's all right. We're just going to leave it as is. The window coverings in this room are pretty dark, so we shouldn't have too much issues getting exposure for the windows. We could probably even accomplish it in a single exposure. Some rooms are going to have super blown out windows outside, so every home is different. You're going to have different challenges. That's the fan. We're going to leave that off. Here as well, we got tungsten here, fluorescent. So that is going to be somewhat of a challenge, but not for this set of photos. All right, we got all of them turned on, minus the one in the middle. I don't know what's going on with these middle lights. Let me see if I can get it turned on. Nope. All right. So I think we attempted almost every switch. Let me see. Maybe it's just a burnout bulb. Yeah. All right. So rooms are set. I'm kind of looking at the lighting as well. You don't necessarily always need to use a super high powered flash, but we will have to use it in most of the rooms here. It really depends on the room and if there's a lot of can lights with a bunch of lighting coming down. A lot of times during the day, there's not a whole lot of lighting. This room doesn't have much lighting at all. It just has this. No fixtures up top, and it's missing this one in the kitchen. The kitchen looks good, but anyways, so that's just one challenge of this particular room, or this home. So anyways, that's good enough for setting this home up for photos. So now let's go outside, grab our gear, and get started. Just kidding, we're gonna double check the backyard before we go out front. Make sure it is set to go. We have one bulb burnt out here. One bulb is on. They're usually on the same switch, so I'm assuming that one's just burnt out. All right. That is odd that the side of the house is like part of the fence of this home. Over there's like a little AC pad area. It's not much of a selling feature. I'm not gonna focus too much on that. It's probably just for the trash cans, maybe. We'll have a nice shot here, one over there. But it does look like it's set up to, you know, nothing to put away. I'm looking for hoses or anything out of place, so shouldn't be any problems back here. So anyways, let's go out front, grab our gear, and get started. All right, guys, so today we're going to be shooting with the Sony a7R IV. We have the 12-24 G Master lens, and my flash of choice is the Godox. Which one is this one? The 8600 Pro. I also have a quarter CTO gel. When I'm shooting during the day, that's my default gel for this flash. There are, depending on the actual color of the interior, I may remove it, and then for later on twilight style, I'm usually have a full CTO gel on my flash. But all right, so we're just gonna get started here on the front of the house. Obviously, for exteriors, we're not gonna be using any lighting. It's pretty straightforward. The exterior shots aren't gonna be much different than any other photography. Usually the dynamic range in the shot isn't too crazy, so you should be able to get a nice exposure with the single. Sorry, let me see if I'm on manual. Nope, I'm on. And I didn't mean to shoot that one off. All right, so I can see my shadow since it's kind of later in the day. The sun's right over here, but I'm putting my shadow on the black top, so that's easy to edit out. And honestly, it would have been nicer to be a little bit scoot in a little bit more, but it's fine because I know I have a 60 megapixel raw image, and I'll be able to crop in, and it's still going to be plenty. So let me just do here. Also, the 12-24, having a little bit more focal length is nice sometimes as well. I wish I had my 16-35 for that shot. It's not drastic or bad enough for me to go back to my car and swap it out. Wait for a car to go by. All right, so now we're shooting. Now this side we have a shadow right here, so we're not going to be too noticeable, so we can scoot up a little bit more. And all right, this home is kind of tricky because it's obstructed with a bunch of cactus and plants. So the whiteout shots, I'll probably get a shot on the other side of the cactus. We'll see how it looks. But right now I'm just got the center, the left, now the right. I'm gonna come out to where, oh man, my angle's not very good, but I'm trying to keep my shadow out of the shot. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the composition here, or actually just the landscaping of this home and the home, because all you see is a garage. You got this tree right here, and you got these cactus all obstructing the front of this home. So sometimes you got to get a little bit creative with your shots. Now the front door doesn't look too bad. All right, so I'm gonna get out of the way. Now the shadows are pretty dark, but I'm pretty confident in the Sony raw image be able to pull out a lot of details there, especially at ISO 100. They shouldn't be too grainy. So if you're worried about it, you may want to switch to bracketing mode to get multiple exposures. It's not a bad idea. The worst case, you just edit the middle, but you'll have your bright shot and your dark shot as safety shots. Like this right here, you can see how dark this looks. Now this is one where I'd be like, you know what? We probably don't need this shot, but I'm gonna get it just to be able to show. Now let me go to my drive mode, come back down here. Let me see my bracket settings real quick. I wanna make sure I'm on a 2-second timer. Yeah, it's on a 2-second timer. I guess I could have tested it. Now right here, what I'm looking at is that was a bad spot for the camera to be showing up. If it's on the floor on the rug, that's a lot easier to edit out than when it was up on the door. Now this shot we may not include. It doesn't look that great anyway. You could also come over here in the shadow and get an angled shot on the door and not have to worry so much about your shadow, of course, but I'll grab this shot since I'm standing here. All right, now let's go inside. And as always, I always like to start off by getting a shot of what it looks like on this side of the door coming in. So right here we have a lot of good light coming down. It's just dark over here because there's no fixtures over here. So this shot right here isn't much different than coming in. So I'm just contemplating, do I actually want to get a shot here? Sure, I guess I'll do it. Let me switch it to a single shot. And that was not right. 2-second timer, sorry. Because when I push the trigger, I don't want to accidentally create camera shake. All right, so that's kind of your regular exposure mode. We have windows out there that we want to expose for. So you can go all the way down to -3, which you could, but 2.3 might look all right. And I'm going to turn on my flash now. We'll see. Now this is where you kind of got to just do some experimenting. This one's going to be interesting, but we'll see how it looks. Let's turn on. And it doesn't flash. So now let me make sure my trigger turns on. There we go. Hopefully it works this time. There we go. Now let me look at it. All right, so we have a massive bright spot right here, but we're not too worried about it. We're just kind of looking at stacking these images. And as I'm reviewing these, I can see how the focus point kind of moved a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it to manual focus so we're not dealing with a moving lens throughout the shot. What I'm going to do as well is put it on a 5-second timer. And I'm going to move over here and flash it over here. Bounce it off the ceiling and try to fill in that room over there. That's what I was trying to do. All right, so that looks pretty good. We got a nice glow in this room. I'm not so concerned about that hot spot. What I'm going to do now is just do the same shot, but I'm going to put a hot spot right here. And my trigger's messed up or something. Let's try it again. All right. All right, so what do we got? We got flash right there, flash over there. And now I'm going to turn off the flash. I'm going to go back to 0 since we were dealing with that flash issue. Now I'm going to get an ambient shot at 0 right here. I could have changed it back to a 2-second timer. All right. That wasn't the best shot, but that's just as you walk into the property. I'm going to be intentional about what angles I pick in this house. I really do like this angle right here. I think this is going to be one of the better ones of this front room here. So let me lower my tripod a little bit. I'm staying in front of this lamp. All right, this looks pretty good here. And now that I'm not going to be walking around, I should be able to flash, just bounce it right off it, which this house has a white ceiling, so the bounce is going to be nice. Sometimes you have darker colored ceilings and the flash just doesn't do much, or a bounce doesn't produce much light. All right, so I'm going to put it back on manual focus, half press, focus it, and then switch it back to manual. Flash is still off, so that's an ambient shot at 0. Now, we do have some windows over there we can expose for, but before I do that, I'm going to get a... Oh my gosh, and I just moved ever so slightly. I hit this cable, I guess I'm on a thing, but if you have a little bit of movement, it's not the end of the world. You can align your exposures in Photoshop if you need to. All right, let's see what this looks like. All right, that actually looks really good. I really like how this room looks. Now I'm going to go for that window over there. So I'm coming down as well. There's not much to see outside that window, honestly. I'm going to get it just to have it, but using the other, an ambient at 0 and a -3 flat, or actually just the flashed one, might work for this angle. We'll see, but I do like to just get the shots anyway. That actually looks great. Exposing for the window, obviously that wouldn't be an exposure I would use because you can see how dark it is in the kitchen because the flash only lit up this area right here. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to try to be careful about not getting it, putting it on something that's going to move. All right, so this angle, let me take a look. There's really no windows right here in this main area. So what I'm going to do, I'll focus it. I'm just going to take two exposures, an ambient at 0 and then a flashed. That was great. I forgot to turn off my flash. Luckily it didn't do anything in the shot. And now, do we want to go? Actually, there's a reflection outside in that picture over there. So having a lower exposure, I think -2 works for this shot. And now I'm just going to bounce it behind me. Fill in this room. And I think it should look good. We'll see. Honestly, it could have been a little bit brighter. I'm going to up my flash. It was at 1/4. Now I'm going half power. All right, let's see what it looks like now. All right, that looks better to me. Know that if you want to get more oomph out of your flash and you don't have something that's super powerful, you can increase your ISO or lower your aperture setting. It does let more light in. All right, so let's switch over to, so we got that angle. Okay, let's shoot this over here. Now, a lot of times I won't reset my shots. I'll from one shot to the next, I'll just start where I finished on the last one, so I'm not having to reset back to 0 every time. So right here we have a good exposure outside. That's what I'm looking for. Might a little bit darker, but I can see really nice out there. And we're about the same size room, so I feel pretty confident that my flash settings should be good. Let's take a look at it. Now right here, we're looking at a reflection right here. So what I'm going to do is take another shot, move the reflection over here so that we could layer those multiple flashes. We just don't want that reflection to be in the same shot, but it still looks bad. All right, so maybe what I'm going to do is pick a different bounce spot. Maybe I'm going to walk over here a little bit. Let's try that. All right, so now we don't have the reflection. Still got a good amount of light coming in. That actually looks really good to me. What I'm going to do now is just get a ambient exposure. I'm going to turn off my flash at 0. And I didn't reset my focus point right here because when we're dealing with rooms that are very similar in size, with a wide angle lens, it's really not going to move all that much. So you should get a good result without having to reset. And be careful with staging pieces and wall fixtures that stick out like this. All right, this one, let's see. So right here, we're trying to get a nice shot of the dining area and the living room. All right, so this is an ambient shot. So I stopped at I finished the last shot with the ambient shot. So I'm gonna get the ambient shot first here, and then we're gonna go to the flash. Turn my flash back on. We're gonna expose for the windows, just looking for some good amount of detail out there. That looks pretty good. Now, I'm gonna hold it up higher, hoping that my flash doesn't spread out and cause too much reflection, which it didn't. It was significantly smaller than that one over there. Let me try again and raise it up even a little bit higher. Let's see if that reduced it even more. It's still there. So what I'm going to do, and I accidentally kicked my tripod. I'm just going to flash it from over there. And I mean, that's still in the same spot, and I kicked the tripod. So we're going to have to align those exposures. All right, what I'm going to do now, since I still didn't get that completely out, so I'm just going to walk over here. Since you have multiple layers, it doesn't matter if you show up in the exposure. You'll just pick a different one with you, layer it from one of the other shots. All right, let me take a look at it. All right, so I'm looking for that reflection over there, and it's not there anymore. So far, there's been a couple times where I've moved my tripod on accident, so I think that's really important to pay attention. I'm just creating more work for me to do during the editing process, which isn't that smart. All right, so let's come over here. Oh my goodness. I want to get as far back as I can here, but we got another 3D wall fixture. All right, let's take a look at the shot. Now I don't need it that dark. There's really no windows in this shot. So I'm just going to go a little bit darker. I could see that it's pretty bright over there. I'm just doing it to the extent so that it's not blown out. If we want, we could reset the focus. It's more focused on this table here. And 5 seconds is a lot. All right, let's see what the impact was. So we got a lot of, it looks all right. One thing with the white ceilings is you can kind of get hot spots a little bit. I could have tilted my flash back a little bit more. Let me try that. I'm gonna come back over here. So hopefully there's not a bright spot in the, all right, so now I don't really, I can see that it did flash the ceiling a little bit, but not too bad. So let me look at all the shots that we have. You can see how it was a little bit better between those two. All right, now let's get an ambient shot at 0 here. Turn off the flash. All right, and for once I didn't kick the tripod on accident. So we're making progress. All right, so let's do the kitchen. We could do a straight-on shot here if we wanted to, or an angled shot. We'll probably get both of them since this is a pretty nice kitchen. All right, so now I finish with the ambient shot. Let me reset the focus. Turn it off. Let me switch it back to 2 seconds. All right. Flash is off, so this is an ambient shot at 0. I don't like how there's like a green reflection on the wall here. The flash will help. We have that window. Now I'm exposing for the window. That looks pretty good. Got a decent amount. Turn the flash back on. Let's see what we got here. All right, so that reflected shot right here, it did help reduce that green right here. So I like the lighting right here now. Now we need more light over here. So what we could do, let me power it down a little bit. Let's try a straight on exposure just going into the room because we're kind of far away, just to see what that looks like. You can see the problem with that is we're getting a lot of different shadows. Let me see what I'm got. So basically what I'm looking for is just trying to piece together. So we got a nice ambient shot over there. We got one exposing for the windows. Really, I like the ambient shot for that area right here. We got the flash for this. Really all we need is the window shot, but we need to flash it a lot more over there so that it's easier to layer and adjust. We're on manual focus, so I'm not so worried about being in the shot. All right, let's see. Unless I show up right in front of the window, which I'm not. All right, I think that'll work for that window actually. All right, let's move on. All right, let's try this angle. Now there are these two little windows right here. There's not much that you're seeing out there, so they don't have to be super crisp, or I'm getting some detail there. I'm just looking to make sure that they're not blown out. All right, I think that's a good tripod height. Now I do want to kind of get those chairs. I think this looks all right from this angle. Probably not the best angle in the kitchen, but it's all right. All right, so this is a flash. Let's see what we got here. Let me power it back up. I did notice not enough here on the stools. I wanted more on the stools. There we go. Ooh, now that's probably a little bit too much, but it actually looks good. Let's bring it down just a hair. All right. All right, that's a good exposure sitting area. Now let's go to 0, which we'll use for this area over here. Let me turn off my flash. And that might be all we need. Let me see. So we got this. That'll cover all that. We have those windows over there. So pretty much for that side of the shot is that. And then this. Yeah, I feel confident with what we got already on that shot. All right. So this is an interesting kitchen. Very long. So I'm going to scoot back a little bit. So this is a decent shot. We got a window, we got the fixture, we got all the cabinets here. What's my focal length? I'm at 15 millimeters. Maybe that's a little too much. 16. All right, let me focus it, manual. All right, so my flash is still off from the last one. Getting the ambient shot first. Now from this angle, the windows do look blown out. So we're gonna come back down. Probably all the way to -3. And let me power it up to half power here. Oh man, I tried to turn this on too late. All right, let's try it again. All right, so we got good exposure in the windows. The left one, there isn't too much in that. All right. Now that's one thing I'm not sure if we should be too concerned about or not. Let me see here. All right, so we can go into this function menu. Okay, we got to put this back to 0. You can do a manual adjustment. So we could go beyond -3 if we needed to. So that's -5. But I just think, if I'm looking at it right now, that's just how it looks. It just looks pretty clear. So I feel confident that there is data in there, but we can take a shot at -5. Just to feel good about it. Oh yeah, now you can like really see outside at -5 flash. So that, for me, it's a little bit too unrealistic if you're pasting it there, so we'll probably use the other one. But honestly, I think that's good enough for this shot. Let me just review what I got. All right, now let's go back into the function menu, change this back to 0. All right, let's move on. All right, so we got a straight on shot. I like this kitchen shot right here. We got this new countertop area. You got the refrigerator. All right, so this is gonna be the ambient shot at 0. Oh, let me turn off that. Now we'll turn the flash on. Now, right about -2.7, I can see out those windows pretty nicely. That's what I'm looking for. Do a nice reflection bounce there. That looks good. Those windows. Let me go straight at them. There's going to be a flash on the windows. So, but it actually doesn't look too bad. I can get another one and just move my reflection point. You see I have it clear in the middle, then clear on the right. So that's pretty good. All right, so let me just double check what I have. Ambient, flashed out here, flashed. I wish I had a little bit more lighting out here. Here, so what I'm going to do is change it to a 5-second timer. And I'm just going to do a reflection right here off of the ceiling just to fill in a little bit more. And take a look at it. All right. So the lighting, I feel better about it in that area in this shot. I'm going to get one more shot with the reflection on the other side this time. Just want to give myself options when I layer it up. Just try not to overlap the flash, which I did. My flash positioning was not very good there. You can see how bright it is. It came across. Let me try it again. And I'm going to point it more towards this way so it doesn't, and try to get it closer to the ceiling so they kind of don't blend over. I just don't want to not have, there we go. You see how that one's much better. Now those two are far apart where I could use information from one, use that side, and then come over here and use the information from the other side. All right, let's move on. Let's get this eating area for two. It's a very small table. All right, well, I guess we'll do the window exposure first. We're just looking at the side of the house, so it doesn't need to be too dark. All right, so I'm at negative 2.3. Let's see if I can just come over here, and I'm gonna show up in the reflection here. Let's see. All right, ooh. Right here, what I'm looking at is the inside of the room looks awesome. It looks really, really bright. Maybe a little bit too bright, but I think it's looks good. But what I can't see is much data outside. I think it's too dark. And what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to bring it up. Let's do 1/4. Bring down the power a little bit. And maybe we will be able to see. I'm going to walk over here to try to not be in the reflection. All right, so we do have the reflection. It looks better outside there. Here, what I'm going to do is put it on a 2-second timer. And maybe I'll just go flash forward here from the side. All right, so now I got a nice window shot, no reflections. It looks good to me. And I know that we have a good interior shot. Now we just need a nice ambient shot at 0. Turn the flash off. All right, that's good. All right, so we got a lot of shots. Now do we want a further back shot in the kitchen here? I actually like this shot because we can see the range, the sitting area, the refrigerator. And what are we at right now? We have a lot of windows here. This is going to be the ambient shot. Let me double check my focus. All right, now let's expose for the windows. I'm not going to go too crazy, go -2. And now I'm going to, well, first I'll turn on the flash because I didn't there. It needs more power. I was at 1/4. Let's do half power. I just want to film this room with a nice light. All right, that looks pretty good. That window actually looks pretty good too. But the windows towards the backyard still look overexposed. So I'm gonna go -3. I'm gonna take a couple more shots, flashing that. So now if I flash that window, I'll be able just to pull in the information from that and easily mask it into another layer. And it actually doesn't look bad over there either. Now let's go to a 5-second timer. I'm gonna run over here. Kind of flash towards the windows and hopefully the reflection's not crazy. We'll see what we got. All right, that looks pretty good. So I flashed. So now those windows back over there look really nice. So we got that one. We got that one for that window. We have this nice one the lighting looks good in here in the kitchen area. Now, do I have any concerns? It's kind of bright over there. I want one more exposure. Bring it down to 1/4. I'm going to reflect it. All right, probably the same spot, just do a reflection shot. Let me get some exercise today. Here we go. All right, and that should be good. Hopefully, we'll see. All right, so that's more of a subtle lighting in that area. All right, I'm happy with that. All right. So obviously the editing process of luxury photos takes a lot longer, so I'm being more selective of the angles that I pick. I feel pretty confident. I think we got five angles in the kitchen, which is plenty. This kitchen's not that big. All right, let's take one here. Got a position in the laundry room. The laundry room has a nice new top to it. Try to get right here in the corner here. All right, so this first shot would be exposing. Man, it's hard to compose it well when it's so dark. Let's go back. Yeah, I'm a little low. Let's bring up so we can see some of that countertop. All right, that looks pretty good. Do we even want it a little bit higher? Yeah, probably a little bit higher. Was looking at too much underneath that cabinet. I don't mind showing a little bit, but not that much. Let's try to make this adjustment. All right, so now we got more to work with here. It's hard to tell if I'm straight with this monitor like this. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, so since I'm already at 0, let's get an ambient shot here. Turned off the flash. Okay, now we'll kind of expose for the window. Now with these really small rooms, I was at 1/4 reflecting off of that, so I'm at 1/8 right now. Now we have a door jamb or a wall right here, so if I flash right here, it's not really going to make it into the room. We can flash it right here. We'll see. We'll just see what the result is. Actually, one thing I didn't double check was the focus, because the room is quite a bit smaller. And my flash wasn't on. Let's see. All right, so actually looks good. I think the flash setting looked good for this room. There's a little bit of a reflection. I can see a streak come across. So I'm gonna take another shot right here. Hold on, is that something on my sensor? Yes. Is that on my lens? Yeah, it looks like a sensor spot. I can tell the difference. Hopefully all my shots prior, you can see it on the top left. There's a little dark spot. And it's not really that noticeable. It kind of is. Like, it's not the end of the world. But it does just get annoying. In my opinion, it's like extra work during the editing process that you have to spot that out. Now, I could take off the lens and kind of blow on it, but I don't know if that would be riskier or not. Let me look at it. I just want to see the particle. There it is. And it's like flipped around. It's actually on the bottom, if I'm looking into it, the bottom left. There's actually a small speck in the middle. It's not. All right, now that's gone. All right. Not ideal to blow on it because you don't want to get any spit on it, but now you can see that it's gone. You got to be really careful when you do that, if you do that. All right. All right, there we go. All right, so I forgot where I was. I reset the flash. We're back to manual. I'm at 0. Flash is off. Let's go ahead and get the ambient shot at. I'm at -0. All right, now let's go window, -2.3. Turn on flash. Bring this in right inside so it will reflect. All right, so that filled the room up quite nicely. And I think lastly, we need a window exposure. Just kind of pointed at it without the reflection so that we can easily just pull out that window if we need to. All right, that looks good. Window looks good. You can see the difference in the window. It's actually kind of blown out a little bit, honestly. So what I'm going to do, same thing I did on the last one. Let's go to 0, and we'll go to function. We'll go to the exposure. We can even go below 3, because even at 3, you can see when the sun's down that low, it's pretty bright. You can go to -5 here. This is probably way too low, but it gets the point across. All right, now you can see how dark it is outside. You got a nice sky. If anything, whoops, not that. Let's bring it up a little bit. All right. I think just the preview, you can't really tell how dark it actually is. All right, that's pretty good right there. All right, let's move on. All right, and in this house, if we look at the garage, it's a mess. They've been working on this house for a while, so that's a complete skip right there. All right, pantry. Now this pantry, there's nothing really to it. There's no windows. The lighting's good. It's got a nice light source. I'm only going to get one exposure here with no flash, because sometimes you don't you don't need a flash exposure in certain rooms. Now let's go back to 0, function. Now let me twist my camera back to a usable angle. And really, this room really isn't, it's not that important, but I would say it's important to give them a shot. And I can see data throughout. You can turn on zebras if you're curious about it. Let me turn on autofocus. And we're waiting for a 5-second exposure. All right, but that'll work for the pantry shot. All right, so we got laundry room, pantry, kitchen. Got the dining area. We got this living room. Start at the front door. Let's go into this room before we go to the master. Now we could get two angles in this room. I like the size of this room. It's gonna make for a nice shot because we can bounce light in here and it's not gonna show up in the reflection. All right, so let me get over here. Let me just lower it here. Let me see. All right. Composition looks all right to me. We could probably get away with maybe an ambient and just a little darker, because if you have the right flash settings on this shot, you can knock out the window exposure and the flash on the inside in one shot. Let's go a little less. Turn on the flash. Oh my gosh. 5 seconds. Getting a workout too. Here we go, let's take a look. Now, my flash settings were really hot, but you can see there's no reflections. You probably would want it a little bit darker, honestly. Let's go down. Let's go -3. And let's just bring it down a little bit. There we go. All right. I'm at quarter power minus 0.7. All right. Now to me, this looks excellent. We got a straight shot. We can see the line of this wall here. The fan looks great. What I'm looking for is shadows. Honestly, this one, I think the only thing that it could use is just a little bit of an ambient feel to it. It looks flashed, but I think it looks good. So let's go back, go to 0, turn off the flash. Hopefully it focused on the same thing. I didn't swap it to manual. Now let's see if I get this one. Yeah, I think this shot's good. I think it just shows how it flows through. Oh man. I'm gonna have to hook that together a little later. All right, 16, this is 16 millimeters. I don't want to go too wide. You can see how dark it is, or how much light's coming in from outside up there. All right, let's give this flash shot a... All right, let me switch it back to 2 seconds. All right, after the first one, let me switch it back to manual. Let's take a look at it. All right, it's really bright in here, but it looks good. Nothing's blown out. I think the window looks good. I'm looking for reflections. The only thing is in the room, that middle room, right? You can see by the door, it's really bright. That middle room, there's like it's dark over there. So what I'm going to do is put it back on a 5-second timer and then go over there and flash this middle room. Now I probably should have upped my flash power there, but I didn't. Let me just look at it. It actually looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that middle. So we'll be able to take the middle from that exposure, that one, and then we just need an ambient. Turn off the flash. Oh my gosh. I get tired of that 5-second exposure. All right, so that's good in here. Let's move on. Man, I kind of want a straight on shot in here. We got a lot of light coming in right here. Got my thing. All right. Now we don't. All right, so scoot back. Now we do have this table right here. You can see how it looks a little bit distorted. I'm at 16 millimeters. I might intentionally come in a little bit to crop a little bit on that table. I think it looks worse if you have it right there. It looks really oblong, but if you put it right here where you crop off a little bit, I think it looks not as distorted, in my opinion. You can disagree. All right, so we'll start on this one with focus, and we'll just do an ambient shot. And I think quarter power is probably plenty for this room. Let's see. All right, that looks good. One thing we'll probably have to edit out is that cable. So we got ambient and flash, but we need a window exposure. So I put it to -3. If I point it straight, since the window's right in front of the camera, we're going to see a reflection. Sorry, I'm so used to a 5-second delay. And I moved out of the way. So the windows look good right here. I'm just going to up the power. You can see it looks kind of dull, and I almost got out of the way to where my flash wasn't in the reflection. But everything looks good. All right, so I upped the flash. Now I'm looking at the windows. Yeah, windows look great. All right, I'm happy with this shot. All right, moving on. All right, so we'll start with the master. There's nothing too spectacular here. I'm not gonna get a doorway shot here. Now this can be a challenge if we're, I don't even know if this shot would look good. I mean, it does kind of just show the flow of it. This one's probably one of the more challenging shots to get because you got a lot going on here. All right, so we'll start at ambient. Let's focus it. 0. I mean, you can do the manual focus like this as well if you want. All right, 5 meters. Let me stick with what it was. All right. All right, so ambient at 0, which actually looks pretty good over here. Now let's go try to get some window detail. Let's go -3. Turn on the flash. If we want to stand over here, man, we'll have to pump up the flash. All right, let's try 1/2. It's going to look pretty bad. It's going to be bright everywhere. But if you were looking, really what I'm paying attention to is the windows. The windows look good. Like there's no reflection, and that's really what I'm worried about on that shot. And the windows up there in the bathroom is what we would use this exposure for as well. I'm going to get one more because I can see a little bit of there was a little bit of a shadow, so I'll try straight on. I'm probably, okay, that looks good. All right, so what do we have? We have ambient, and then we have windows. Let's bring down the flash a little bit, and then we'll just focus on getting nice flash exposure in the bathroom and the bedroom. I'm gonna do the bedroom first. So I'm at -1. I'm just gonna try to bounce it here. I don't know if it's gonna make it because there's kind of a wall. Actually doesn't look bad. And then I'm gonna switch it to a 5-second timer. Excuse me here. Function. All right, 5-second timer, and I'm gonna go probably half power, and I'm gonna bounce it in on the other side of the wall in the bedroom. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh, oh my gosh. Why did I move it? It's just the sound of extra work. That's all it is. All right, so that was way too bright of a flash setting. So let's go 1/4, a little less probably. And let's go for it. Gotta love narrow hallways. But I do like the lighting. I like the quarter CTO gel that I am using today. I would have taken it off if I would have noticed it was like too blue or too bright. All right, that actually looks excellent for the room. So we got a nice room shot, flash. We got the bathroom right there. We got the windows, and we got a nice ambient shot. I feel pretty good here. Now I'm gonna just look through. I can see how the camera moved. It just moved oh so slightly. All right, let's move in here. Master. These are probably some of my favorite shots to get. And the master, where I know that I can bounce right here. It's going to just flood in this room nicely. All right. Set this up here. All right, let's go 0. Turn off the flash. Let's get it ambient. Whoop. Let me reset the focus. And you could leave it on manual focus and fine tune your focus point every single time. It's just hard to do with this external monitor. All right. So now, let's go. I'm just going to do a flash exposure at quarter power here. So I'm focused on the room. That might be too bright. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Now you can see that the color temperature does look a little bit yellow, and that could be from the CTO gel. I can show you, it might be a good example to show you the difference, but let me go to -3 and just flash the heck out of the windows real quick. And what I'm doing is keeping my flash close to this so that the further away your flash is from your lens it's just increased amount of shadows. So I'm looking at the windows. Yeah, that actually looks excellent. And actually it looks better on the inside too. Maybe just the white balance setting wasn't all that great before. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to bump up my power, not full power, we'll go half power at -3. I think we can get a nice fill into this room here. This might just be a good on its own. Yeah, that was actually pretty good, just a little bit too bright. Just power down the flash a little bit. Let me change it to 2 seconds. All right, so that looks more natural. We got nice, yeah, because we could probably just use this shot and the ambient just to give it a little bit of a natural look to it. All right, that looks great. All right, now we decide, do I want to shoot this way, showing that way? I guess there's nice views out the window, so I might as well. And now one thing to remember when you're flashing right here, you got to pay attention to the bedding because a lot of times you'll blow that out as well. All right, let me readjust my focus. -3. Whoa, I'm at 1/4. All right, let's go 1/4, quarter power. All right, that looks pretty good. Everything looks crooked because my camera is crooked, so let me fix that. All right, that looks great. Honestly, that looks great. We could probably get away with just an ambient as well. I'm confident in decreasing the highlights. We can get a lot of detail out of the windows. Actually, we're already at -3. So yeah, that's good. All right, let's go back to 0, turn off flash, get an ambient, and that's all she wrote. Let's move on to this one. Now I probably won't get this angle right here. There's really not too much on this one. I like this corner better because we can see how it kind of goes over there towards the bathroom. All right, and then looking at this one, it looks like this is a little bit crooked. So just pay attention to some things that are on the wall. I don't think I did that. That couldn't have been me. All right, so now that painting on the wall is straight. Now we're not dealing with windows. So let's do ambient shot at 0. Flash is already off from the previous. You have a decent amount of light coming in from the hallway, but I wouldn't be worried about it too much. From a detail standpoint, I think we should be able to get plenty of detail on that. All right, so now let's do a flash exposure. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. All right, so 1.7, that doorway looks nice, and I think we'll be able to fill in the flash. Oh my gosh, what happened here? Mode. I accidentally hit another button. I want manual. Oh, okay. A. Channel A. I accidentally hit the channel button. All right. We'll leave it at what it was last time, which is almost half power. That's a little bright. Let's bring it down a little bit. Fire again. It will. Still might be too bright. We'll see. Yeah. You see, it is the white comforter just looks really blown out. All right, let's go 1/8. All right, let's see now. All right, that looks better, but what you can see is you see how bad that shadow is on that fan. Let me try over here. It's probably still going to be the same thing. All right, that looks better. We don't have that nasty shadow on the fan. The comforter looks fine. The doorway looks fine. Let me just make sure that we got the ambient shot, which we did right there. So, all right, let's move on. All right, so they spent a lot. Looks like they spent a lot of money in here. Toilet closet, we're not gonna focus on unless they specifically want it. All right, so we have a lot of things that we're dealing with in here. A lot of reflections. So we got, what do we have? The shower, glass. We have this mirror right here. Sorry, I was gonna put this strap back on real quick. All right, we're good. All right. So we're gonna get a shot of the bathtub and the shower in one. We'll go to 0 first. Just try to straighten it out. Flash off. All right, that looks pretty good. Now it's exposed for that window up there. That looks pretty good. And in here, we probably don't need that high. We got 1/8 of a power. We'll give it a try. Let me turn on that. Trigger. Go high to try to reduce the reflections. Yeah, that's not bad. Like, you can see a little bit of reflection coming in on the bathtub. I'm gonna get, but actually the reflection is there right now. I'm gonna move my flash to another location. Yeah, I guess the flash, yeah, you can see how flash location definitely has a pretty big impact on reflection. Let's try one more. Go into that corner, try to reduce reflection. That looks pretty good to me. All right, so we got the ambient, and then we got the window. The window looks good. All right, I'm pretty happy with it. All right. Now, man, this vanity looks challenging. Plus, I have this big, bulky rig. But let me see. We're almost behind the staging items on the countertop. I'm not so certain about it though. That might be our best bet to not have so much work. Obviously, there's a lot of lines. A lot of times I'm not too concerned about it, but there are quite a few lines. All right, this looks better. So if you can, just try to hide behind something. Let's go to 0 and look at it. All right, let's turn this off. Get my squats in for the day. All right, I can see it, but it's in a spot where where I can edit it out pretty easily. It's It's not too bad. Ideally, you wouldn't see it, but I like the height on the, I like to be able to see some on it. All right, let's go for these windows up here. Turn on the flash. We'll leave it at what it is. Come down here. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good for the windows up there. And so let me just, I'm just mentally kind of blending these together to see how they look. I think it looks all right. I'm gonna do a, just do a flash from up here, see if we can get the inside here looking better. Yeah, I like that. It looks pretty good. Yeah, definitely the cabinets look better. And there's not that reflection in the bathtub. So we got those windows, we got the ambient. Yeah, I think that'll make for a good shot. All right, let's move over here to the tub. Do we go lower? Let's try it. Some of these low tubs, it's kind of challenging to make look good. Let's go to 0 so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right. Now if I'm coming in here, there's really, you can't see by an edge of a window, so I'm not even worried about it. So let's get an ambient here, turn off the flash. It's at 0, and then I'll make it a little bit darker and then just do a flash from behind. Bounce flash. All right, ambient bounce flash. I mean, that bounce flash one looks good as is. That one won't need too much editing. All right. So I'm just kind of doing a checklist. So I got this shot going here. I got a shot here. I haven't got like a shot just focused on the shower, and it looks like they did spend a good amount of money on here. Now this one can be a challenge because of the glass. So I'm going to see if I can just put my camera right in here. And this is one shot where having a lens that's wider than 16 millimeter can help, but you don't want to overdo it. All right, so right here, I'm going to try to push my camera in. And I always want to see the shower head. So I'm going to come up. Now my concern is this tipping forward. All right, that's not bad. All right, that looks pretty straight. All right, let's go to 0. Focus it. We'll get the ambient shot. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll just take it a little bit darker. Is the flash on? Yeah, because it didn't trigger. A little bit darker. And then we'll just do a bounce. Being careful about where I reflect it. But for some reason, this flash trigger wants to act up. Let's try it now. All right, so I can see the reflection, too powerful. Let's go lower, 1/32. Let's try it. All right, that's pretty good. I mean, it could use a little bit more. That's fine, I'll try one more. Just to have as an option, I think 1/32 is fine. All right, just a very minimal difference in those shots. It's not gonna make a difference. All right, let me close this. I always get nervous around these glass showers. I fear I'm gonna break it. All right, so the closet is probably another shot. Let me make sure. Where we just don't even use the flash. It has its one light source. It's pretty tungsten. But the room, it's pretty lit up. Let's see. So you can see how the tungsten room out here, and then the more daytime light coming in, you can see how it's creating a blue hue on the side here. So let's... Now, yeah, so I'm just going to leave it like this. This looks fine. I think this will be appropriate. This isn't really an impressive shot. Let's go to 0. I mean, this closet is just not impressive. It has built-ins, but hold on, let me chop it. It has built-ins, but you could tell it was from previous. They spent a lot of time in here, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Just get a shot for them to have, and that's it. All right. Should we go ahead with this? Sure. Let's get this bathroom. All right, so a couple concerns was that can light in the back. We want to dip low. Obviously, what you can do is crop it in so it's not in the shot during the editing process. For bathrooms, one thing I'm always paying attention to are the fixtures. You want to have a good exposure for the fixtures because sometimes they can be blown out. Let's go. This is just a odd spot for me to compose this shot, but I think this right here looks all right. Or do I ideally would like to show a little bit of that fixture, but you kind of got to balance it out. Do you want to show the fixture, or do you want your countertop to look a little more distorted? Or I can go super wide and make the whole thing look distorted. All right, let's just go here. All right, we're at 0. That ambient shot. There's a little bit of window. Now this is another bathroom, 1/16. This is probably plenty of flash for this room. Plus, this room has some good lighting already. Let's see if this helps. It actually just makes it a little warmer. It actually looks good. I like it like that. Yeah, that looks excellent. I put it high enough to where there's not much of a reflection of the flash in the mirror. A little bit, but I don't think it's distracting even if you look at it from here. So we have ambient, we have that. I'm pretty happy with it. I think those 2 shots are good for this bathroom. All right. Now, they did nothing to this room. I'm trying to think of the angle, so we could probably get one when we walk in here, and then we'll get we'll get 2 angles in here. So we'll start with the entry. And these rooms that are big and empty are pretty easy. What do we want? Let's do the 0 first. All right. You can see how the it's pretty dark in here. You can see I'm at a ½ second exposure right now. All right, let's go back since it's a little bigger room. Focus it. I don't like this shot. It's kind of an odd shaped room. It's not a square, but great. And then that. All right, let's take it again. All right, so that's 0. Let's look for the windows, which we can see the sun actually going down pretty good here. I'll turn on this flash. Now this room's a little bit bigger. Let's go 1/4 power. I'm gonna go up high here from this just to try to avoid reflections. Oh yeah, you can see how the flash really brought this room to life. Let's try 1/8. But the walls are white. So the flash really came in powerful. All right, that right there looks pretty good. We can see outside. It looks good. The room has a good color on it. I'm happy with that shot. Let's go back to play. Then we have this ambient, which honestly, we might just use this one. I think the color of the flash makes this room look better than just the ambient shot. We'll see what we do. I usually like to have a little bit of a ambient shot look. All right, here, come this way a little bit. All right. Now, there's 2 rooms, right? You have the hallway out there. So what I'm going to do is expose for the hallway and then just flash in here. And it should be pretty good. I'm going to leave, since we're in the same room, leave the same flash settings. Just put it high. Just to fill in. If you have your flash lower, it's going to create different shadows and show up different things. But as you can see, it looks pretty good. I think we just need an ambient in here. Let's go to 0. All right. Let me just double check this closet. It is a closet. All right, now I'm just doing a checklist. Master over here, main room. Yeah, so we covered the entire room now, or entire home. We're gonna go out back. And during the day, I usually don't use flash outside. So I'm just gonna leave it in here somewhere that it's not going to show up in the shots. All right, so the trigger's off. Let's just go outside and grab some shots. Now what I'm probably gonna do is just, since it's pretty dark in here and the sun's getting pretty low, I'm just gonna shoot 3 exposures. I'm gonna change, let's do autofocus, and then I'm gonna change it to bracket settings, 3.0 EV, 3 exposures. So I can go super wide in here. I don't wanna go too wide with this lens right here. I'm at like 15 millimeters. So let's see what we get. All right, that's good. Now you can pay attention to where they staged. Obviously that's kind of a focal point. You want to be able to capture the essence of the home. So we'll use this setting right here. Even though I'm cropping, I'm not cropping, I'm just kind of cropping off that side of the home, just looking in this area, which looks good. Making sure that I'm not in any reflections. Sometimes when the sun is this low, like sometimes it's hard to get that sky exposure, but I'm looking at this one right here. We got a nice sky, so pretty happy with that. We probably, for these, we likely won't use the bright exposure. I think that one for the sky and then this one for the setting. And some additional minor adjustments and it'll be good. All right, so let's scoot back a little bit. Now here we can see the whole house, but I'm concerned about distortion. Let's go to 16 millimeters. You can see if you put the house towards the corner, you can see how it looks all stretched out. So I'm trying to compose it more towards the center of my lens. That looks pretty good. Now at 0, what I'm looking at is a sky that's really overblown because that's where the sun's setting. And that's, like I said, that's one challenge you can run into. But you'll just have to look at your exposures. I mean, that one's pretty good. You got plenty of data there. Towards the horizon, there might not be too much. So what we can do, if it is an issue, you're like, man, I'm not getting any detail there. We can change it to the timer mode, put it at 0, hit the function key and go over even lower. We got -5 here. That might be too drastic. Let's see. Now that's really dark, but you kind of get the point where you can create your own exposures if you need to go beyond +3 or -3. Let's take one at -3.7. All right, we're good with this shot. So let's put it back where we were. Brackets and exposure back at 0. All right, so we got that shot backed out. Now I think it's kind of cool how the master bedroom has an exit right there. One problem with getting a nice corner shot is this obstruction right here, whatever this is. Maybe a snake's nest or a bunch of quails live in there. We're gonna have to work around that. So we could either choose an angle on this side or on the other side of it. You could go back, it's just gonna obstruct. So anyways, let's just roll with it right here. All right, so I'll show you. We can go back, let's see what it looks like. Actually, it doesn't look too bad at 16. It's like there in the middle, but we get a good idea of the home. And you can still see that setting over there. Yeah, it's actually not bad. What I'm looking for is to see if I'm in a reflection. Ray was in a, hey, you stop right there. Ray was in a reflection. I don't think I am. Just moving around, seeing if I'm showing up. All right, sky looks good. All right, so we got a shot there. Now, if you're working around bushes, it's just challenging sometimes. We could get this shot too. There's not too much. This backyard isn't very interesting. It's got a lot of, I guess some would call this nice landscaping, but it just looks like, I don't know, you could accidentally run into something out here. All right. All right, now what I'm looking at for here is just the exposures. Got a nice sky. All right, so we did show the master exit. We got a shot coming. We got a shot coming out of here. Do we want a shot going in? This might be the one shot we could get still. Now I'm gonna try to position my camera so it's on a pillar, not in the reflection. That'll save some time editing. Now I'm at a 2-second timer. So I'm gonna have to book it, make sure I'm not showing up. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize how long of an exposure it is already on the darker one. Let's see if I show up. Yep. A little too early. There we go. All right. All right, now we're not in the reflection. It doesn't look like, I mean, you can see a little bit of the tripod legs, but I think that'll work. And obviously you can just go through and double check all your shots before you leave. I was pretty diligent about reviewing them as I was going through the shoot, and I think that's a good practice. Make sure you have all the exposures you need to be able to layer them and create a nice solid image for your customer. So anyways, I think that's going to do it for this daytime luxury photo shoot. If you guys have any additional questions, feel free to reach out. Before we leave, we're going to put the home back in the condition we found it. That's going to do it for this video, and we will see you guys on the next one.